fuck a gold plate. I want my nigga back.
Look at you, the useless one of the community. Look at you. This is the only thing that you got going on for yourself. This is it.
Oh, so fabulous.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel once again. It's your girl Dumebi Leah. If this is your first time coming across my channel, you're welcome. I do hope you decide to subscribe, and if you are a returning subscriber, you guys know that I love you. It's so good to have you here. Welcome back. So my usual disclaimer, this video is strictly for educational purposes. Please do not go searching out the people that I talk about in this video. Don't send them any form of hate comments, threats, or violence. This channel does not support any of that. So I came across this man's video, and I have to state first of all that the purpose of him making these videos definitely has to be for attention, because he keeps making the same videos about black people, and I'm talking about the entire diaspora now. You know, if he's not talking about African Americans, he's talking about Africans. He has made his whole page about that, and it's funny because with all the effort he's put in, he's not even getting that many views, but definitely his views got to the right people who it was meant for. So black people definitely put him on blast. Now, he has made several videos. The first one I'm going to play is the one that really made the whole rounds that everyone has been talking about, while the other ones I will play after that are the others that I went to his page and saw. He made several videos basically just trying to gaslight and troll black people. So at this point, I'm just going to go right ahead and play his videos back to back.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist? Now, some people might think of this as a joke, but this is actually a very serious question. There is nowhere on this planet an example of a self-sustaining and successful and thriving black community. I mean, let's take Africa for example. The whole world is constantly providing aid and supporting Africa from all over the world, from America, from Europe, from Russia, from China. All these major self-sustaining countries are constantly providing aid and helping Africa survive. Same thing here in America. We have all these programs like Section 8 housing, welfare, food stamps that help out the black community. So it is a real question. How would black people survive and self-sustain if white people did not exist? Why do I tip the IRS 300%? Because they are the only ones that know what to do with my money better than I do. The IRS are the only people that deserve to get tipped. This year, I will be tipping 100%. Last year, I tipped only 100%. This year, it's going to be 300. 100 of my usual, and then an extra 100% that can go towards illegal immigrants because they need a place to live, and then 100% can go towards reparations for black people, because who else is going to work in this country if not for white people? How are black people going to survive and live if white people don't take care of them? I mean, this is just, everybody needs to tip the IRS. So I'm actually getting sick and tired of people crying that there is so much oppression going on here in America, and I challenge anybody to show me anywhere else in the world where black people have as much opportunity as they do here in America. If you constantly keep feeding your brain information of bad things that happened in the past, your worldview will always be a bad, scary, and dark place. I mean, that is what manifestation is. You become the product of what you feed to your brain. So, we could start off by looking at the black billionaires here in America. We have Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Tyler Perry. The top 10 billionaires are from Africa, so, that's why we started off the post from number 14. You can look at almost any industry and find so many successful black people. Let's start off with music. We have Jay-Z at 2 billion, 900 million, 500 million. So, then we have Kanye at 500 million, and then we have Drake at 250 million, and then we have a white person, we have Eminem at barely scraping 250 million. So then we have the NBA and the NFL, which can be argued to be one of the biggest and best opportunities for black people. So here at the top of the list, we have players with 4-year contracts, starting off at 230 million, and they go down from there. Here's the second one, you know. Here's the third one down. They're still at 4 or 5 years at 176, 163. So here's we get, more down, you know, to number 40 and stuff. But still, they're still good numbers. If we take one of those contracts, for example, and we compare it to somebody who's making 6 figures, it would take that person 2,000 years to make the same amount of money somebody can make in 4 or 5. But nobody's crying about this disproportion about how a white man who's making 6 figures will have to work 2,000 years to make the same amount of money that a black man has the opportunity to make in 4 or 5 years. So basically, to summarize, if you start to feed your brain information and things about all the good things and all the positive things that are going on in the black community, your future and your worldview will change, and that is how you can change your future. So systemic racism and white privilege really do not exist. What does exist is the fact that a system has been created here in America to keep every single one of us down, regardless of race, of who we are. It is a system that is designed to keep every single person down. So proof of this is 49% of Section 8 residents are actually white. Black people make up only 33%. So there's more white people struggling here in America than black people. There's more white people on Section 8 housing than black people. And also, if we look at welfare, 38% versus 39%. So, they're basically equal, but both parties are equally oppressed. So it is not no system. The system is designed to oppress everyone equally. Alrighty, so this video is going to be on how you can become a better white person and cater to the black community. If a black person tells you that they were the ones that taught you how to bathe and use soap, you better believe them. Do not respond with any kind of logic. Do not say, well, why couldn't people figure out how to wash dirt off themselves? You must respond by saying, thank you, great wise black man. If it wasn't for you, us white people would have been stuck living in caves, stinking each other up. So hey guys, like and comment for more videos on how you can become a better white person and cater to the black community. So Native Americans actually benefited greatly from the colonization of Europeans. From what we know from the history books, we have been able to gather that they were a very lazy group of people. So for example, when they needed to water their crops, they were not able to figure out and create some kind of irrigation system. They would gather around campfires and dance, stabbing themselves, screaming at a totem pole, thinking that was somehow gonna change the rain god and that God would send them rain. They were falling behind in civilization because by the time the Europeans had made and built boats capable of crossing the oceans, they still had nothing. And to this day, there's not many hardworking Native Americans. They all want to live simple and peacefully off the land.
So does anybody feel irritated? I was very irritated. Like, he really thinks black people cannot survive without white people. I thought it was the other way around. Who needed black people to come and build their countries? Who needs resources from black countries? Who needs to get melanin into their gene pool to ensure survival of their race? You know what? Let me just go right ahead and play some of the stitches to his videos.
Sustain if white people did not exist.
Troglodyte male monkey in winter. Is this you? Yeah, you all really think you all be on to something, don't you? Let's get it.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
The same way we did prior to the age of exploration and colonization that saved your ancestors, with Nubian empires such as the Kingdom of Kush, in ancient civilizations like the land of Punt that the Egyptians referred to as the land of the gods. Oh, the Egyptians are not even on this list. Let's get it. With city-states like Carthage that were the North African hub of commercial activity and flourished for over 500 years. That would be longer than the United States has been in existence. The great Ethiopian kingdom of Axiom, while Rome was rising and falling, its influence was spreading throughout Africa from a base in Ethiopia. And without white people, the Mali Empire got along just fine through Western Africa with its crown jewel of Timbuktu, an educational center that it took Europe hundreds of years to even catch up with. Oh, and let's not forget the Songhai Empire of West Africa that encompassed more area and territory than all of Western Europe combined. And my personal favorite, the Great Zimbabwe, that rivaled anything Europe had to offer in 1100 CE. It was a trading mecca. Goods and services were traded there from all over Africa and also included trade with India, China, and the Arabian Empire. Now, you were saying something else.
There is nowhere on this planet an example of a self-sustaining and successful and thriving black community. I mean, let's take Africa for example. The whole world is constantly providing aid and supporting Africa from all over the world, from America, from Europe, from Russia, from China. All these major self-sustaining countries are constantly providing aid and helping Africa survive.
What you reference is not aid. It's capitalistic colonization, because European colonialism is alive and well in Africa today. And America, Russia, China, all of them are jumping on the bandwagon. Why, you may ask? Because Africa, by far, contains the most mineral wealth of any continent on this planet. Oil, copper, gold, diamonds, all the precious metals are found in Africa, as well as timber. That is why all of these nations you mentioned want to get a foothold and colonize in Africa today. It is not Africa who needs Europe. It's Europe and America who needs Africa. Now continue with some more of your delusions.
Same thing here in America. We have all these programs like Section 8 housing, welfare, food stamps that help out the black community.
Section 8. Let's make this quick, because your stupid ass could have just Googled this. But about half, 49%, of projected base Section 8 recipients are white. About a third, 33%, are black, and 13% are Hispanic. That's Section 8. Moving right along. Next. Welfare. Something else you could have just Googled. You would have discovered that 75.2% of the welfare paid in 2020 went to retired workers and dependents accounts. And you would also discover that 36.5% of welfare recipients are white, while 25.8% are black.
Nowhere on this planet an example of a self-sustaining and successful and thriving black community.
There have been many examples in this country alone of self-sustaining, thriving black communities, but your ancestors could not stand to see them prosper and thrive. That's why you continually burnt them down. Communities like Colfax, Louisiana in 1873. Communities like Wilmington, North Carolina, where the first coup in this country actually took place when racist supremacists couldn't stand to see elected black officials in power and ran them out of town and destroyed or took all their property. And let's not forget what happened in 1906 in Atlanta, when white people were threatened by the upward mobility of the black community in Atlanta, and all of a sudden 4 random white women accused some unknown random black men of raping them, therefore kicking off a 1906 massacre in Atlanta. And probably the bloodiest moment in American history when it came to racial massacres occurred in Elaine, Arkansas in 1919, where the black population outnumbered the white population by 10 to 1, thriving 10 to 1. And when that thriving black community in Elaine, Arkansas got together and decided to demand justice with their economic might, what happened? Oh yeah, that's right. White people showed up and massacred them. Yeah, and let's not forget Rosewood, 1923, a thriving black community that Fannie Taylor decided to destroy by saying that she was raped by a black man. And who did they go get first? The local blacksmith. And before killing him, they made sure to torture and mutilate him and hung him from a tree and proceeded to start to burn down a thriving black community. Listen here, you poster child for why your uncle should have had a better pull-out game on his sister. Black people don't need you all. We did not create the transatlantic slave trade because we needed you. You created it because you needed us. And we will be fine if you cease to exist tomorrow. And I said what I said.
If white people didn't exist.
Alright, man. So you opened up the can of worms. You asked, what would have happened if white people, white men, white whatever, racists never existed? I made a list. It's a short list. I'm sure somebody else can continue. Number 1. If white people did not exist, racism wouldn't have been created for a mass market to sell people. Misinformation wouldn't be so high on television. Slavery misinformation wouldn't be so high in schools. Henrietta Lacks would have had all her stem cells still. Simeon Toko wouldn't have been cut up like Osiris. Africa wouldn't have been plundered for gold, diamonds, and other resources under the guise of helping the poor. Egyptian artifacts, Amazonian, Incan, Mayan, and other native indigenous tribes that are too long to list would still have their languages, cultures, and their artifacts would still be in our temple. Jesus wouldn't have been whitewashed. The church wouldn't have raped, pillaged, and plundered and trafficked our children across generations for trauma that we all have to heal from. There would be no need for reparations. We wouldn't have a need for museums because all of our temples would be intact, which relates to all of our technology still being intact. There wouldn't have been a mass slavery under the guise of citizenship to keep people working as slaves, but actually call them a different name. The whole entire world would be a food forest where all we would have to do is meditate and fucking chill. The whole world would be the Garden of Eden. There would be more women-led societies like there is in Africa. That's all I got for you. Somebody else want to take the mic?
I think
Real quick, this video response is not to him or really towards his community as a whole. I don't care about him. I don't censor them. I don't even engage with them outside of a work or academic setting, so it doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that I do not want any young black people to see that video, whether you are American, Caribbean, African, European, wherever you are from. I don't ever want you to see content like that as a young black person or a young black body and not know your history and think that things like this are true. If no one told you, I'm here to tell you today. The reason why today we do not have any thriving and successful communities underneath our own 2 feet is because at every turn, at every opportunity for us to rebuild, at every opportunity for us to break away, they have burned us down, they have stabbed us in the back, they have sabotaged us on purpose. The answer to the question is sitting right there in the video. The reason why none of them are still standing, none of the thriving communities, is because right now they under lakes. Our ancestors are underwater. They've been pillaged by fire. There's been points in American history where our own government sanctioned violence, bombs being dropped out of the sky on inner cities right here in the United States of America. That is why we do not have thriving communities. Not because we're not capable, not because we don't come from royalty, not because we're not kings and queens, not because we're not competitive, not because if given the same opportunities, the same rights, the same fairness, the same equity as every other community, we probably lap everybody 38 times. There's a reason behind their madness. There's a reason for racism. There's a reason why they keep us underneath their thumbs and their foots on our necks, because if they let go of us for even a second too long, the power we possess will overpower everything that they've ever done. Everything from the jewels on that woman's head before she died to the very inventions that you use every day in your everyday life have probably come from a black body. I want y'all to know y'all history, and I want y'all to know y'all power, because you come from somewhere and you are somebody. Even more so, I implore these younger generations coming up, I want y'all to read. I want y'all to read as much as you possibly can. I want y'all to attain as much knowledge and information to empower yourselves as you possibly can, because the further we move away from the things we learn from these people, the closer we'll be to the true and absolute God. The closer we will be to freedom and liberation for our people. The sooner we stop trying to be in proximity and assimilate to whatever they got going on, and remember and return to the roots of who we really are as a people, the sooner that all this hell, turmoil, and strife will stop. Because I guarantee you the hoods right here in America and the hoods overseas on the continent of Africa look real fucking similar right now.
White people didn't exist.
The real question, the actual question, you absolute racist fool, is how would white people survive without black people? For centuries, white nations, white empires have been colonizing African nations and raping them, extracting everything they possibly can, from minerals to oil to food, everything. That's number one. Oh, those nations aren't providing aid. They're taking everything they can from African nations. Number two, the United States would not be here as an economy if it wasn't for the slave trade. So just shut up.
If white people didn't exist,
we'd be okay. We would survive with seasoned food and the sun.
joke, but this is actually a very serious question.
The truth is, you will always point your finger at black people because that's what you do. That's what white supremacists do. And you, sir, are a diehard white supremacist. You will always be pointing your finger at black folks, and you will never point your finger at white people. You will never point your finger and acknowledge what we've done in the most serious way without a big fat deflection, without a big fat denial, without a big fat butt in it. You need white supremacy because that's your fucking crutch. So the difference between white people and black people is you, sir, and your people, my people, white people, are morally inferior race because we continue to support, uplift, and enable white supremacy. That's our fucking crutch, and that's why we're inferior morally, and that's why you will never, ever acknowledge all the shit that white man has done to black people today and yesterday. Absolutely no question about it. All black people would be thriving if it were not for the white man. The white man has stolen every single resource out of Africa, including people. Human trafficking, enslavement, colonialization. They have robbed, raped that continent of every single resource imaginable. Absolutely. If white people did not exist, all black people would be thriving. That goes without question, as would all indigenous people and most brown people too. It was the white man's greed. It was the white man's genocide, the white man's enslavement, and the white man's colonialization that fucked this world up. And that's one thing that white people have never understood, was because of the damage the white man caused. Remember this, the white man has always been disagreeable in times of peace.
and thriving black.
Let me get this clear. You want to see an example of a self-sustaining, successful black town. Did you want it to still be here, or did you want the ones that were destroyed by the white folk who were jealous? Why don't you go stand in Central Park and then look at the history of Central Park? Why don't you go fishing at Lake Lanier and then look at the history of Lake Lanier? Because under those are the black towns that were striving, self-sufficient without the white folk.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
It's so sad that people have to come on the internet and say a whole bunch of incendiary things, spew a bunch of racism just to get likes and clout on the internet. Wasn't it enslaved Africans who created the wealth for the South here in the United States of America? So really, that statement would be backwards if we looked at history and actual facts. It was white people depending on black people for their economy.
There is nowhere on this planet an example of a self-sustaining and successful and thriving black community.
Well, here's an example for you of a thriving black community who was doing amazing until white people got in their fields that there was a thriving black community with its own economy doing well. The neighborhood of Greenwood in Tulsa, Oklahoma was so thriving with black excellence, it was called Black Wall Street. And in 24 hours, because of racism, white people destroyed Greenwood, literally causing so much damage to the black community that it forever altered black family trees in this country. Rosewood is just another example off the top of my head of black excellence where they were thriving and had their own community that was destroyed by racist white people.
Take Africa, for example. The whole world is constantly providing aid and supporting Africa.
Let's take Africa, for instance, and how resource-rich Africa is. But because of colonization and the effects of these countries, to this day, stealing the resources away from Africa, many Africans and African nations haven't been able to build up an economy on the resources that are rightly theirs. Yeah, the reason why a lot of people are having to come to Africa's aid is because a lot of those people coming to Africa's aid are draining Africa of its resources and its ability to make money. It is so abhorrent to me that people nowadays feel so entitled to get on the internet and spew a bunch of hatred to a community because you are uneducated and have no idea what you're talking about. Google is free. All of your points could have literally been solved for you and your racism if you just Googled. Let's do better, babes.
That guy got all the dragging that he deserved. And the shocking thing to me is that this guy is Russian, just like he stated in this video.
Alrighty, so as a Russian, I'm going to explain what is going on with this war right now.
He's Russian. And why this is alarming to me is that at this point, a lot of African countries are building alliances with Russians. And there's obviously some form of anti-blackness. As far as I'm concerned, there is no other race aside the black race that doesn't have some form of anti-blackness. And we pitching tents with some of these people, and we think we are making the smart move. It's not really the smart move. We're just playing politics and feeling like, oh, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, because we are trying to run away from the West. We are running straight to these same people that have anti-black biases. And when they suck us dry, that's when we're now going to start to see that these people were never for us. We have suffered. Black people have suffered. Whenever I take a look on the videos I make on this channel, like in retrospect, I just want to go through my channel because I basically drop about minimum 5 videos a week. And I'm amazed at how much material I'm able to find of non-black people in black people's business. There's always one non-black person who has something to say about black people. There's always one non-black person that is inserting themselves into black spaces, that's trying to appropriate black culture. There's always something. Like, what exactly is the reason Why are black people always the center of all this negative attention and hatred? Like, what exactly is the problem? For someone to create a whole TikTok page and dedicate it to trolling black people, the whole African diaspora, it's just a matter of time before he gets banned. Like, at this point, I'm sick of it. You guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. I'll be waiting to read what you think. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.